know what? I'm actually interested to know what type of Liverock you actually decided to put inside this tank.
So, I mean, I bought Liverock from several different people. I think there's a kind of a mix of, there's some Fiji Liverock, there's some kind of base rock, and there's some other stuff. And in fact, I got a little story about the Liverock. When I bought it all, you know, I bought it off some suspect tanks, people closing it down. I don't know what kind of shape they were in, and I kind of did some reading again. And I actually ended up just letting it, all the Liverock die,
right.
And I let it dry out. I ended up using, I kind of reset the whole thing by using bleach and soaking it in bleach for a day, then letting it dry out, cleaning it out thoroughly, and then using muriatic acid, killing out anything that was in it, and turning it into kind of making sure there was nothing, no bad hitchhikers in it.
So that's what you did to this Liverock right here?
That's what I did to it back in the summer of last year, wow. And then I treated it for a long time after that to make sure there was none of that crap back left in it, none of those chemicals.
Wow.
And I soaked it, and I used dechlorinators, and then I used some anti-phosphate stuff, because, you know, rock can leach phosphates into your tank. So I did all that, and so it's going good. I mean, there's one piece I got there, kind of, I think they call it a coral skeleton or whatever, that one piece kind of there in the middle. I kind of made that my centerpiece, and I put some corals around it, and I'm hoping that kind of bluish one with, I think it's called meteor one, that I put in the middle, I'm hoping that's going to spread and eventually encrust that. Yeah, it's going to take a long time, though.
This one right here?
Yeah, that guy right there.
Let's take a peek.
That's an encrusting piece that I bought someone. It's already started to. If you look around it, you can see that it's got like it's starting to spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put that in there a couple of months ago, so it's starting to spread. So,
so we got a mixture of Liverock.
Yeah,
another thing I wanted to know, your temperature here. What did you have it at?
So generally, I try to keep it 79, and then with the metal halides, when they're on, they end up kicking it up a couple of degrees. But I have those fans on when the halides are on, and they help to keep it around 80. 81, so it probably fluctuates between 79 and 81. Some people say that's fine, some people say it's not fine. I guess through experience I would say it's fine, because it doesn't seem to affect anything.
Right on. What else here? You know what, I really want to ask you here, is there anything that you've made a huge mistake with this tank, like any things that you recommend for someone not to do? Like, did you do any like big boo-boos on this tank at all?
I would say that through my experience with this tank, everything has been good except for one time. This one piece over here, it's purple star polyps with some red mushrooms and all. It used to look way beautiful, but what happened was one of the fish was bugging it, I thought, and because it started getting shriveled up, and I did some reading, and some guys on the forum were saying if you kind of put some kind of little fence or cage around it, that the fish can't get to it, then
sort of like a mesh kind of protection around the rock and Liverock. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so the fish couldn't touch it, but it still gets the flow and the light.
Right.
That the coral will come back, and the fish will kind of learn not to go there once you take it away. So I went and bought this like steel mesh thing, put it in, and you know, like within less than, I would say, maybe 18 hours. I came back from work. I put it at night. I went to work the next morning, came back from work, and the water was like a milky color, and all my SPSs died that fast. All the LPSs were all completely shriveled up and closed up. Even the leathers were in rough shape, but so I immediately took it out, did big water change, and for the next month, I would say I was doing water changes. Well, for the next week, I did water changes every day. Then I started doing water changes every a little more often, and you know, things have stabilized again. And some of those, like this frog spawn was the one that I bought from you, was shriveled up to nothing, but now it's come back. You can see, and I mean, a lot of these guys were here. Even the zoas, believe it or not, the zoas all made it fine somehow. I don't know. So, I think they protect themselves well when they close up. Yeah.
Well, so all in all here, your big mistake was what? All in a nutshell, what did you do
wrong?
Well,
my problem is I kind of took that advice without. I think you got to be careful. The lesson is you got to be careful, first of all, what you read, and you know, maybe talk to some people who have more experience to see if it's a good idea before you do it. And secondly, that metal that I put in was probably coated with something. It was. Yeah. I think I probably bought it because it was cheap. You know, I just wanted to do something fast and cheap.
You probably either weren't thinking, or just didn't really think about it, or thought it was maybe protected. You know, because And then all in all, next thing you know, like you said, 18 hours later, your tank was cloudy and you had corals dying from basically putting a piece of metal in your saltwater tank. Guys.
Yeah, it's
so
amazing.
All in all, guys, there's just a little lesson that Ian pointed out to us. Do not put any metal in your tank if it's a simple hose clamp that you're connecting your plumbing with, or you know, any sort of metal that doesn't need to be in your tank. Just definitely take it out, remove it, just for the safe side. You know, you don't want any corals dying or any fish dying. And there was evidence there that Ian had that issue, and he just wanted to point that out for us. So I'm glad I asked him that question there. Thank you very much, Ian.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Ian. So again, I don't know if I asked you exactly earlier, but I wanted just to double check here. Like, if you were to do this again, you know, like change anything, like what would you do differently in this whole setup here?
Well, like I said, I would make it a little deeper. I think saltwater tanks are meant a little nicer when they're a little deeper, so I would have got the 180.
Yeah. So
it's 2 feet deep, but the other thing I would have done is I wouldn't have done the center overflow.
Yeah.
I would have probably put it on the right side since on the way I have my tank in my kitchen here, that's kind of the out of the spot section.
Right.
But I mean, I think it still looks good. I just have to keep it really clean so that it doesn't, you don't even notice it if you keep it clean.
Yeah.
But
well, the way the rock work is laid out, I think it looks fantastic here. You have a nice little wall mountain climbing up the right side and then down low in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do. I did the whole landscape that I did just to accommodate the
overflow box.
So
and
it
you
kind
know,
of worked out okay, but if I could go back, or if I do a tank in the future, I'd probably put the overflow to the right or to the side somewhere.
So one inside the corners there, maybe.
Yeah.
Right on. And would you use the same plumbing method, I guess, for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do it a little neater, but generally I like this Hervey method. It is completely silent, and it doesn't result in that big bunch of bubbles that I've heard about that can happen if you don't do it.
Right on. You know what? Why don't we talk about briefly on some feeding? Like, what are you feeding these corals and fish, and how often? Like, oh yeah, you said the mysis example. Like, what else are you feeding them? Is it just that?
So pretty much, I give like a quarter of a sheet of this nori, which is just dry seaweed.
Dry seaweed, okay. Those are for the fish, the tank.
Yeah, and I essentially I used to get it from the fish store, but then I found out that you can just go to these like Chinese bulk wholesalers, and as long as it's pure, not roasted, just dried seaweed and doesn't have any other chemicals or ingredients in it, you can just get that. I cut it up, store it in there. I put one of those in the morning, and because the tangs need veggies, right? Yeah. And even the big wrasse over there, that rainbow wrasse, he loves it too. And so they eat that, and then I give one mysis cube, or my wife actually does for me, gives one mysis cube in the morning while I'm at work, and then at night, when I come home, I give another one of those nori squares, and then I give another mysis with some other cube of some other different type of. It's always a different miscellaneous one.
Right on. Nice little diet that they have there. Nice variety. And how often you do that? Every day you would basically...
I do that every day. I know some people I've heard, the ones who have very low nitrates, they don't feed every day.
Yeah.
In fact,
I definitely don't feed every day at all. My fish, maybe I throw a little bit of food here, pellets, whatnot, but the cyclopses and mysis and whatnot, that's like a special occasion. If they're lucky, to be honest, maybe I'll do it once a week, once every 2 weeks, if they're lucky. That's because my life's pretty busy, and and my tank, I just keep on doing what I'm doing, and what I find works for me might be different than works for you. But all in all, like, are you happy with your tank and what you have?
I am happy with my tank, and I do like to feed them a lot. The only thing I'm not happy with is the nitrates. So
right on. So
that's why I'm starting to cut back a bit.
Yeah, maybe that's something you can look into. But other than that, you know, the tank's looking phenomenal. I appreciate it. Okay, and you know what? I'm admiring some of these gorgeous fish here in your tank. Why don't you point out, I guess, at least 2 of them here that are your favorite fish, you would say?
I would say...
If we can find them right now.
Yeah, well, I would say in terms of just pure looks, probably my favorite is that red guy that just went away over there. He's called a flame angel. Okay. They're actually... People debate on whether they're reef safe or not because they do nip at corals. Yeah. But, you know, you can see he's a really nice color.
Right on. Nice
and I think he does bother my corals, but at the end of the day, I don't regret getting him. And I would say 2 other fish I really like, the fox face.
Right on.
He was my first big fish. I always wanted that, and I remember I even saw one in your tank. I think
it's quite big, this guy too, as well, eh?
Yeah.
You say he's grown, I guess, in your tank?
No, he was pretty big when I bought him. Actually, he's grown a little bit, but not much. I think And then
your tanks, it's hard to tell sometimes too.
Yeah, and then I also like the blonde Nassau there. Yeah. That one I have the biggest emotional attachment. Something about that one, you know, he kind of comes and looks at me. This guy up here at the top, the blonde Nassau, that guy there, yeah.
You're saying the powder blue there?
Yeah, so, but yeah, those are, I like all my fish, but those are probably the
right on
top ones.
So
I also like my starfish. I got 3 starfish. I got a blue Linkia one who's hiding right now, I think. And then I got that guy there, like, I think he's like Patrick on SpongeBob. And then there's a red one kind of hanging on the back of that coral, of that stone there.
I see it there.
Yeah. I also have a sand sifting one who lives in the sand, and every once in a while he kind of comes up and he slides across the... Oh, I also got a cool, if you can see it, I got a cool red serpent star. Here's the blue one, actually. You can see a finger of him right there.
Oh, right on. Yeah, back here.
See the finger of him?
A little bit hard to make out. You got another WP-40 on this side as well, or
yeah,
60?
MP40. MP40,
yeah.
And I also have 2 other power heads that aren't, all they do is continuous motion, but just to keep water moving in the back so that detritus doesn't settle.
Right.
So I got a Tunzi over there and a Corellia on the other side.
Perfect. And so you got quite a bit of flow in this tank here. I've noticed. It's awesome.
So I think I talked about nitrates earlier and how they're high right now. So one, you know, that was if you remember, I showed you my chart. Probably for the first half of the year that I had this tank, that was never a problem. And it's kind of happened now, and I guess, you know, the bioload has increased. That's why, and I've been feeding a lot because I have so many fish. But I guess I found out that I've been feeding a little too much, and I learned about cutting back a bit. And I also learned about when you're feeding like mysis shrimp and stuff like that, that you need to rinse it and don't just you know, defrost it and put it in. You got to rinse it to get rid of that bad water out of it. Apparently that affects your nitrates also.
Yeah, I see some guys that are pretty picky about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started doing that.
So you're starting to follow with that as well. Right on. Okay, Ian. Once again, I just wanted to say thank you very much for having me here at your place, showing me your 150-gallon saltwater tank. Thank you very much for explaining everything that you have and shared all the information that you have shared with us, showing us the ins and outs of your tanks, the do's and don'ts. It's really, you know, many months and years of experience that's pretty much encaptured within a video here, guys. So you know what, that's definitely why I wanted to share this information with you guys. Everyone's way might work a little bit different than someone else's way, but you know what, this is what's working for Ian. He's happy, and so am I, that he's reached his goal of success and where he's reached. And guys, this is within not even a month's time, 11 months. So you know what, I basically have faith in everyone that if they have the goal and willpower that they want to set up a saltwater tank, you can definitely do it. The info is out there, and the people are out there to definitely help. So Ian, again, thank you very much for having me at your place and showing me your tank, and it was a pleasure being here.
All right, thanks, Leo. I appreciate you coming by, and I want to thank you for all the advice and stuff you've given me. I've learned a lot through you, and you know, every time I have a question on how, you know, how to do something or some advice on something, you always give me good advice. You built a nice skimmer nice sump for me, and you gave me the advice on the skimmer and stuff like that, and it's been really helpful. Thanks a lot.
No problem, man. It was a pleasure, and you know what, definitely stay tuned, guys. We're going to be definitely keeping in touch with Ian here, and he's going to let us know how the tank is doing in a few months' time, and any new additions, and just in general how the tank's doing. Guys, thanks very much for watching Leopazzo. You know what it is. Stay tuned.